these repeat offenders, once they address their issues, be it mental health, substance use, and that's pretty much who this is geared to, who at the root aren't bad people, but given their situations, engage in bad conduct. If we can break that, then we don't see them again. You don't arrest them again. I don't prosecute them again. They become tax-paying, productive citizens again. Welcome to Shooting Straight. I'm Brad Carlyon, your Navajo County Attorney.
And I'm David Clouse, your Navajo County Sheriff.
In this last month of 2024, the Sheriff and I wanted to talk about some of the things that's happened in Navajo County with the criminal justice system, and if we have time, we'll look forward to 2025 and changes that may be coming down. Sheriff, it's always a big year for you. We can't really talk about cases that happen because most of them are still pending, but what kind of changes have occurred in the Sheriff's Department this year?
Yeah, you look back, preparing for this segment, you look back and you think of all the things that, one, a year goes fast, but two, it's quite remarkable how much the staff, not outside of doing their daily cases and those criminal investigations, but working on supplemental or administrative stuff to make not only the sheriff's office more efficient, but to provide better services and to provide more quality services. One of the big things that I wanted to touch on today was a jail accreditation.
What is accreditation?
So many law enforcement agencies or government agencies will seek accreditations from outside parties or outside entities that look at a jail and kind of set a standard operating procedure. It obviously has insurances involved, it has liabilities attorneys, and it talks about what are the best practices for 2024 and forward. You look back, our jail was built in 1976. And the one prior to that, we've done some shows there. But the standards not only have changed, but the way that we operate in jail and the things that we have to consider, mental health, a lot of things we talk about on the show.
Substance use.
Overdoses,
withdrawals from alcohol.
Yeah, and the way you process medical, the way that you treat the mentally ill and the way that you make those types of assessments, the use of technology, doing more hand-to-hand, visits with either it be legal, family, that just causes more security risk. So all those things considered, and then the way that you check on your population and how you monitor those checks, all those things considered. We used an entity called NIJO, which is it's kind of a group of retired jail staff, attorneys, and different people that have come up with different standards for running corrections, especially at a county level versus what a state or federal. And we were able to get that accreditation this last year, and we got it in our first evaluation, and
that speaks highly of how you were already operating it, that they didn't have to say you need to change this, and that.
Yeah, and I think we were the second or third jail in Arizona to achieve that accreditation. So it was one. I got to hand it to my staff for getting that done, but I think you're saying it right. They were operating at a level that was already, and that starts with the jail commander and all his staff that work so diligently. But that's something that we find that you have less in custody issues, less in custody deaths, less inmate on inmate assaults, less inmate on staff assaults, and those types of things. And so not only are we looking for those efficiencies and saving taxpayers money, but also the safety of everyone involved, and just running a clean and functioning jail.
And I know from the civil side of my office that jails are one of the highest risk liabilities for the county. So having those procedures and processes in place can save us a lot of money in the long run.
Yeah, and that's one of the statutory requirements that a sheriff's going to run. We're going to continue to operate these jail systems, obviously, and we have for over 130 years. But as you know, as you pointed out, this is where we are spending the most money. Not only the operations, but the defending our actions and different stuff like that. So always trying to limit that exposure, and most importantly too. It's hard to recruit for jail staff, but making a nice, clean, wholesome environment for people to come work in that want to work there. I think all those things are attributing to a better functioning jail and sheriff's office.
But how many people work in the jail for you?
So we have 60 uniformed
Wow.
Deputies that are working. You got to remember, we run 4 different shifts, 2 at the beginning of the week, 2 at the end, 12-hour shifts. But we have medical staff, and then you have commissary, and you have legal working, mail, commissary. You have kitchen, laundry. You have facilities. I mean, that's a big one that we've been talking about this week too. Is just the maintenance of the jail to make sure that everything functions. Locks are actually locking, and all those type of safety, the trips, falls, and those types of things aren't occurring. So we have somebody always working around the clock to make sure that air conditioning, heating, cooling, water, and all those things are working, and meals are being fed, things are being cleaned up, floors are being cleaned, polished, releases, bookings. So you have a lot of civilian staff. So we have around 85, I believe, that work in there all the time.
Just your jail is a big employer.
Yeah, just that part of it.
That's a great accomplishment for the year. What are some of the other ones that you had with the Sheriff's Department?
Kind of staying in the jail realm, working with working with pretty much our Navajo County criminal justice. We made some significant hires in our reentry program. We keep talking about that. Reentry being the work that they work on different programs for those that are incarcerated, would be substance abuse or parenting or education, and
to help them break the cycle of criminal conduct.
Yeah, and then on the release, because a lot on the jail setting are being released and re-entering society and trying to break that cycle. We made some significant strides in securing a couple grants. We're using our opioid settlement funds that the county has got to make some of these hires. We received 2 important grants to pay for these positions. We made some significant hires on some really qualified personnel that we feel that can run these programs effectively. And so, I feel like we really took that program from something we've talked about in 22, 23, and then 24 we actually put it into place.
So your foundation's there, and 25 will be your rollout for most of it?
Yeah, for most of it. It's already there, and 25 is, I think, where we're going to be talking a lot with, hopefully to get in a county or a state appropriation. We need space, right? I think that's what a lot of these different counties that we've kind of been working with, you need. Because again, the jail was built in '76, and you didn't think of these things in those years, and so we need that space for this staff to work in. And so we have some different ideas, but it just costs money.
And it's not just the staff; it's outside people that can provide services.
Yeah.
Your behavioral health providers, people to help train jobs, things of that nature.
Yeah, because we're working with Change Point, CBI, and others. They need a place to work, and again, you have the volunteers that come in that do that stuff, and so it's just a lot of things that you have to consider. And so we have these great ideas, but then putting them into place is when it just takes a little more effort.
And it may cost money up front, but looking at other counties that have done it across the nation, they end up saving on the backside, since these repeat offenders, once they address their issues, be it mental health, substance use, and that's pretty much who this is geared to, who at the root aren't bad people, but given their situations engage in bad conduct. If we can break that, then we don't see them again. You don't arrest them again. I don't prosecute them again. They become tax-paying, productive citizens again.
Yeah, and another one is you look at the labor shortage and the workforce. I always drive home that point. I think people are always looking, where can I get good employees? Where can I get? And the more people that I think we can help change their lives around, they're going to start entering the workforce, and just kind of trickles from there. But
what else you got going on?
So another big part of 2024, we secured an appropriation from the Senate, or from federal dollars. Senator Kelly and Senator Sinema, the state it was a Senate appropriation around $2.3 million. It is for radio tower communication infrastructure. We've been talking about this with the county for a couple years.
Is there a problem because of the mountainous terrain that we're in?
Yeah. One is the mountainous terrain. The large, I know everyone in Arizona knows we have large counties.
10,000 square miles.
And a lot of space in between. And then we just had an old, Navajo County just never has had the big dollars. And then radios change, right? Technology change, Kenwood, Motorola, or whoever you use, they come out with better equipment, and then you have to update tower sites, and you have to update all these things to stay with digital work, or the different what they call P25. And we just kept looking at that like, well, there's no way we could ever afford this. Plus, we needed to expand our communication. We traditionally, when I started with this agency, we communicated on 4 different sites for all of Navajo County.
When you say sites, what do you mean by
tower sites? Infrastructure where we have...
So just 4 towers for the whole 10,000 square miles?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had one in Holbrook, we had one in Winslow, one in Heber, and one on Porter Mountain. And that was all we were talking.
And how good of coverage was those 4 towers?
Not even inside that circle of those 4 towers. There was very spotty because of the hills. We kind of did a study on it, and we comparing to other counties and recommendations, we would need 13 to 15 type of towers to work. We were not communicating north of Holbrook when you entered the reservation. We were not communicating once you hit Honda Casino. In many parts of the Heber Tower, we were not communicating north of Antelope Valley and Chevelon Retreat. So many dead spots east of Snowflake, just dead. So with this appropriation, we got not only the devices for our vehicles, for our agency, but all the other agencies. And that was one thing I was really...
So all the PDs in the county got it too?
Yeah, so PD, all public safety really, fire too, because we have these regional dispatch we've talked a little bit about with Show Low and Holbrook. And us running Holbrook, Show Low PD kind of running South County. And we wanted to be all on the same one network infrastructure, same communication systems. So my staff set out to get these dollars to do this, because nobody could afford to do it all together or independently. And then we also increased our sites, and right now we're talking, I think, on 12 different sites or 11 different sites, with a few more coming in the next couple of years. But the communication ability that we now have all across this county is remarkable, and really, well, it's an officer safety thing, and then it's also a time saver of getting information between all the agencies, and there's other areas of improvement, but it's something that they've worked really hard on, and I'm really proud of the progress they made on that.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. Well, what about your office? We keep talking about me.
A lot of the things that we've accomplished are more internal and systematic, so probably not as interesting as jail accreditations and things of that nature. But one of the big things that we've done, and it wasn't just my office, but the criminal justice system as a whole, is we got that big grant to help revitalize our Veterans Court, because we had started it on a shoestring. We didn't have probation officers. We used volunteers from the VFW and American Legion to kind of be peers in our eyes and ears. And this has given us the opportunity to bring treatment inside besides what the VA offers, to have probation actually working and helping these people out. And I hope it's a good opportunity to help give back to those who have given to us, to their service of their country, and who oftentimes get into trouble with substance use, trying to deal with some of the traumas that they suffered. So we've got that going. It seems to really have increased the effectiveness of our Veterans Court, and I'm really happy for that. And of course, we got that SAMHSA grant for our, what we call our COPE program, for those that come into your jail, those in the booking process, screen them. And it's surprising how honest people are with their substance abuse history.
I like reading those reports.
Yeah. Well, one of the major questions we're concerned about for the COPE program is, have you ever overdosed before? And a significant number coming into your jail, as we talked about, it is full with those with substance use disorder and mental health disorder. And those who self-identify as having at least one OD, and we had one person who's had 14, ask them if they're ready for treatment, because sometimes when they're coming in your jail, they're kind of bottoming out and they're a little more receptive to it. And if they are, then somebody else talks to them about the program, where they'll be released from jail, a warm handoff to behavioral health, and go into a treatment program that can be up to 6 months. It's not it may be a get out of jail free card, it's not a get out of your criminal problems free card. They still have to take responsibility and have consequences for their actions that landed them in your jail. But if they're receptive, and often they are when they go to your jail, we have that window to get them the help that they need to kick that addiction. And we've had some great success stories. Unfortunately, not everybody is ready at the time, so the proportion of those coming in is relatively low, but the success rate of those who participate is exceptionally high. It's about 9 out of 10. So I hope to continue it, still trying to figure out how to, I guess the best term is market it better to get more people interested in it when they're in there. And we're going to try to expand their windows of opportunity a little bit further beyond just the booking process. Because if they get to stay in jail for a while and start going through some of the withdrawals, they may have an interest again. So we'll be looking at that. And probably one of the highlights for my office last year was one of my prosecutors, Martin Rose, was named the Arizona Juvenile Prosecutor of the Year, going against all the other ones in the state of Arizona. So it's a nice recognition locally that we can be effective in what we do.
Yeah. I mean, you put all these things together, there's so many great things happening in Navajo County. We're running short on time, but you were also appointed to the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission in this last year.
I have been. It's already time to ask to be put back on it again. For those that don't know, the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission, they have two main purposes. One is to be the funnel for grants, federal grants that come through the state, and some state appropriations that benefit the criminal justice system, decide what programs to do and how to allocate the monies. But they also gather a ton of statistics. They do every other year they do the survey of high school kids and issues like drugs, guns, and things of that nature. They take the data from the rest of law enforcement and try to look at trends. So it's been very interesting to serve on that.
Yeah, certainly the commission that keeps law enforcement, public safety, and criminal justice for the state of Arizona all on working in concert throughout the state. And a lot of what we talked about has been allocated or pushed through the legislature through the Criminal Justice Commission. So it's good to have your voice on there and to be part of that. But again, another great year. I think we talked about some great things coming forth in 25. I know my staff and I have sat down already working on what are our priorities for 25. And of course, responding to calls efficiently. Investigations are always our priorities, but we're always looking for better ways and more efficient ways of doing that. So.
And new and breaking technologies are out there, and they're trickling down from the private sector to the public, and I think we'll see more of those in use by the criminal justice system in the coming years.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Brad, again for another great year and another 12 shows we completed. But that's all the time we have this month, and we will see you in 2025 with more exciting shows from Shooting Straight.